Lamont Coleman was known professionally as Big L, was an American rapper and songwriter. Emerging from Harlem in New York City in the early to mid-1990s, Coleman became well known amongst underground hip-hop fans for his freestyling ability. He was eventually signed to Columbia Records, where, in 1995, he released his debut album, Lifestyle is of the Poor and Dangerous. On February 15, 1999, Coleman was shot 9 times by an unknown assailant in East Harlem, New York, his hometown. He died from his injuries. Noted for his use of wordplay, multiple writers at AllMusic, Hip Hop's and The Source have praised Coleman for his lyrical ability, and he has also been described as one of the most auspicious storytellers in hip-hop history. Regarding Coleman's legacy in an interview with Funkmaster Flex, Nas claimed, "Big L scared me to death. When I heard his performance at the Apollo on tape, I was scared to death. I said, yo, it's no way I can compete if this is what I gotta compete with." Big L was born in Harlem, New York City, on May 30, 1974, the third and youngest child of Gilda Terry and Charles Davis. Davis left the family while Coleman was a child. His 2 older siblings, Donald Coleman and Leroy Finizzi, were the children of Gilda and a man named Mr. Finizzi. Coleman received the nicknames Little L and Mont as a child. At the age of 12, Coleman became a big hip-hop fan and started freestyling with other people in his neighborhood. He founded a group known as 3 The Hard Way in 1990, but it was quickly broken up due to a lack of enthusiasm amongst the members. It consisted of Coleman, Doc Ream, and Rodney. No projects were released, and after Rodney left, the group was renamed 2 Hard MFs, Shut Your Mouths. Around this time, people started to refer to Coleman as Big L. In the summer of 1990, Coleman met Lord Finesse at an autograph session in a record shop on 125th Street. After he did a freestyle, Finesse and Coleman exchanged numbers. Coleman attended Julia Richmond High School. While in high school, Coleman freestyle battled in his hometown. In his last interview, he stated, "In the beginning, all I ever saw me doing was battling everybody on the street corners, rhyming in the hallways, beating on the wall, rhyming to my friends. Every now and then, a house party, grab the mic, a block party, grab the mic." He graduated in 1992. Coleman began writing rhymes in 1990. In 1992, Coleman recorded various demos, some of which were featured on his debut album Lifestyle is of the Poor and Dangerous. He also founded the Harlem rap group Children of the Corn Seok. With Killa Cam, Murda Mase Bloodshed and McGruff in 1993. On February 11, Coleman appeared on Yo! MTV Raps with Lord Finesse to help promote Finesse's studio album Return of the Funky Man. Coleman's first professional appearance came on Yes You May Mix, the B-side of Party Over Here, 1992, by Lord Finesse, and his first album appearance was on Represent off of Showbiz and AG's Runaway Slave, 1992. In that same year, he won an amateur freestyle battle, which consisted of about 2,000 contestants and held by Nubian Productions. In 1992, Coleman signed to Columbia Records. Around this time, L joined Lord Finesse's Bronx-based hip-hop collective Diggin' in the Crates crew, DITC, which consisted of Lord Finesse, Diamond D, OC, Fat Joe, Buckwild, Showbiz and AG. In 1993, Coleman released his first promotional single, Devil's Son, and later said it was one of the first Horrorcore singles, influencing others. He said he wrote the song because I've always been a fan of horror flicks. Plus the things I see in Harlem are very scary. So I just put it all together in a rhyme. However, he said he preferred other styles over horrorcore. On February 18, 1993, Coleman performed live at the Uptown Lord Finesse birthday bash at the 2000 Club, which included other performances from Fat Joe, Nas, and Diamond D. In 1994, he released his second promotional single Clinic. On July 11, 1994, Coleman released the radio edit of Put It On, and 3 months later the video was released. In 1995, the video for the single No Ends, No Skins debuted, which was directed by Brian Louver. 20. His debut studio album, Lifestyle is of Poor and Dangerous, was released in March 1995. The album debuted at number 149 on the Billboard 200 and number 22 on top R&B hip-hop albums. Lifestyle Is would go on to sell over 200,000 copies as of 2000. 3 singles were released from the album, the first two, Put It On and MVP, reached the top 25 of Billboard's Hot Rap Tracks, and the third, No Ends, No Skins, did not chart. Even though the album received a 3-star rating from AllMusic, it was an AMG album pick. In 1996, Coleman was dropped from Columbia, mainly because of the dispute between Coleman's rapping style and the production from Columbia. He stated, "I was there with a bunch of strangers that didn't really know my music." In 1997, he started working on his second studio album, The Big Picture. Pac folded when Bloodshed died in a car accident on March 2, 1997. The ITC appeared in a July issue on The Go magazine. Coleman appeared on OC's single Dangerous for OC's second album Jewels. In November, he was the opening act for OC's European Jewels tour. Sometime in 1998, Coleman formed his own independent label, Flamboyant Entertainment. According to The Village Voice, it was planned to distribute the kind of hip-hop that sold without top 40 samples or R&B hooks. He released a single Ebonics in 1998. The song was based on Ebonics, and The Source called it one of the top 5 independent singles of the year. The ITC released their first single, Dignified Soldiers, that year. Coleman caught the eye of Damon Dash, the CEO of Rockefeller Records, after the release of Ebonics. Dash wanted to sign Lamont to Rockefeller, but Coleman wanted his crew to sign. On February 8, 1999, Coleman, Herb McGruff, C-Town, and Jay-Z started the process to sign with Rockefeller as a group called the Wolfpack. At around 8:30 p.m. on February 15, 1999, Big L was killed at 45 West 139th Street in his native Harlem after being shot 9 times in the face and chest in a drive-by shooting. Gerard Woodley, one of Big L's childhood friends, was arrested 3 months later for the crime. It's a good possibility it was retaliation for something Big L's brother did or Woodley believed he had done. However, there are people like rapper Cameron who said that Big L had tried to help his brother put a hit on Woodley. Woodley was later released due to lack of evidence, and the murder case remains officially unsolved. On June 24, 2016, Woodley was shot in the head and later died at Harlem Hospital. Harlem. The chief suspect in the murder of rapper Big L in 1999 was gunned down in Harlem Thursday night, sources said. Gerard Woodley, 46, who is suspected in 4 other homicides, was in front of 106 Watts 139th Street, near Lenox Avenue, about 11:17 p.m., when someone shot him in the head, NYPD officials said. Woodley, who lived at the West 139th Street building, was pronounced dead at Harlem Hospital, police said. There were no immediate arrests, and police didn't release a description of the suspect. Woodley has a long history of violent crimes and was released from prison in September 2015 after serving 4 years on a weapons charge unrelated to the rapper's death, officials said. He did a lot of bad things, and someone decided it was time to go, the source added. Law enforcement sources said Woodley was trying to keep a low profile lately, but got involved in illicit business in New Jersey, which may have led to his murder. Woodley has been arrested 6 times, first in 1990 on a weapon charge, an NYPD spokesman said. He was arrested again in 1994 and 1996 on murder charges, but avoided conviction both times, MTV reported in 1999. The NYPD couldn't confirm those charges because the cases are sealed, he said. Then in 1999, Woodley was arrested for fatally shooting Big L, who had already earned the respect of underground hip-hop scene and was seemingly about to become a big name. Woodley and Big L, whose birth name was Lamont Coleman, were childhood friends and often spent time together, family said. Woodley appeared on the back cover of Big L's 1995 debut album, Lifestyle is Avda Poor and Dangerous. They were good friends. We were friends with the family even after he was killed. We still talked, said Woodley's aunt, Rosa Towns, 85. Investigators believe that in 1999, Big L was part of a crew that robbed drug dealers, sources said. Police believe that the rapper would double-cross people he knew by letting the robbery crew know the location of cash-carrying drug dealers, prime for a stick-up. Though the details are sketchy, sources believe that Big L's side business was deleterious to Woodley. The two had a falling out, and Woodley exacted revenge on February 15, 1999, shooting Big L 9 times in the face and chest on West 139th Street, near Lenox, report said at the time. Police arrested Woodley, but the Manhattan District Attorney later dropped the case against him because they felt they didn't have enough witnesses and couldn't find any incriminating surveillance footage, sources said. Federal investigators were also closing in on Woodley on a guns case, sources said. Prosecutors knew he was likely to do time on those charges, so they didn't pursue the murder case as aggressively, sources said. Woodley spent 5 years behind bars on the federal guns charge and was arrested again in 2010, also on weapons charges, sources and police said. He was released to parole in September 2015, records show. Investigators don't believe his murder was tied to Big L's death because anyone who would have wanted to exact revenge had many opportunities in the 20 years since it happened, sources said. His family was left reeling after he was killed, they said, adding that he left behind a 28-year-old daughter. He was a pretty good guy. My mind is gone. I didn't sleep last night. It don't make sense, said Woodley's aunt, Rosa Towns. A Bronx, New York veteran producer and DITC Studios mainstay opened up about his painful memories of February 15, 1999, the day Big L was fatally wounded in a drive-by shooting just outside of his childhood home on Harlem's 139th Street. I actually saw Big L dead on the ground. I was there, the notoriously private member of Diggin reveals. I don't really do too many interviews about this shit here. But I was on my way to Atlantic City for my girl's birthday. It was her birthday the day he died. We were crossing the bridge from the Bronx to Manhattan, and I got a phone call on the bridge saying that L had been killed. I made the turn on the bridge and went right to 45 West 139th Street, and he was laying there. Show, who would produce the Triborough on 2000's Gold Certified The Big Picture posthumous album, says he has distanced himself from the imagery. I can't really get into details because I had to block it out, but it was just a blur. I just remember where I was at and him lying there. I came fresh, right before his body was even taken or cold or anything. 10 minutes after he was killed, I was right there. 1999 would begin a difficult chapter for DITC. 1 year to the month after Big L's murder, group affiliate Big Pun would die of a heart attack. At the time, I was more worried about Big Pun dying than L, admits Show. A year prior, the doctor had told us that if Pun didn't lose weight, he was going to die within a year. The doctor was accurate, he died a year later after that. The first theory is that it was Lamont was mistaken for his older brother Leroy Finizzi, who was serving time for armed robbery. The reasoning for this is at the time Lamont was reported to have been wearing Leroy's chain. It is believed that Leroy had gotten into some form of trouble with people who as a result wanted him killed. In an interview in 2010, Donald Finizzi, Big L's older brother, spoke on his L's passing saying that he was not the one supposed to be targeted, that the killers were looking for their older brother Lee, but killed Big L by mistake, who was reportedly wearing his brother's chain at the time of his death. It is also believed that the Woodley knew Leroy was in jail and killed Lamont as a way of threatening Leroy. Leroy Finizzi was murdered in 2002. The second theory comes from the fact that it was believed Lamont was part of a crew which robbed drug dealers. The police believed that he would double-cross drug dealers by telling people where the drug dealers which were carrying cash were to allow them to be robbed. It is believed that this business caused harm to Woodley in some way. The third theory comes from an Instagram video posted shortly after Woodley's death. The rapper Cameron, who knew both Lamont Coleman and Gerald Woodley growing up. He claimed that Big L and the dude who supposedly killed him, a week before that, though, Big L had tried to kill him. What was he to do? Please don't get in your feelings. When the time's right, I will tell you about these villains. Now everybody dead, so it ain't about squealing. However, Cameron does not state why the killing happened, but does say that he will say in the future. Will Cameron tell everyone why the killing happened? Could the killing have been solved if someone came forward? Will Lamont Coleman's family ever know for definite why he was killed? Max B, another Harlem rapper, claims in a song called Letter to the Game. He says, "They wanna follow, I ain't ready to lead. When it was time to pop off I was ready to breeze, but it was something in my soul telling me to squeeze. Seen him dead laying different Big L. I knew he couldn't breath. Nicka you effing with a G, my alias Big of L. Better ride your own wave, I got pictures of L. Big L. Took my people out the hood, dropped 3 on the scale. Heard a story about my Nicka, Woodley, who knew he would tell, 'cause of you bitch, that my jigga in jail.'" Max B is referring to Woodley being the reason Big L's brother was in prison. It is also claimed that Big Lee Sr. was involved in robberies with Woodley in the 90s, just weeks before Big Lee was sent to prison. He split up the proceeds from the robberies and dealings they had been involved with in Harlem. Woodley did not like his split of the money, but could not do nothing as Big Lee was the boss. Whilst serving his sentence, Big Lee came aware that Woodley was an police informant. A hit was put on Woodley, but the killers missed. Woodley took revenge by gunning down Big L. The gold chain Big L was sporting at the time of his death alone played a part in the killing. The following is a statement from Donald Finizzi, Big L's brother. "There was a beef between a guy in our neighborhood and our middle brother, Big Lee, Leroy Finizzi. However, Lee went to prison, and so did I. Lee sent word to our friend to do something to that guy in our neighborhood. Our friend goes to find that guy. Unfortunately Lamont, Big L, went with him, which shouldn't have happened. They found the guy, but the do something part didn't go down as planned. The guy seen Lamont's face. Being that both Lee and I were incarcerated, Lamont was in the neighborhood by himself. I believe the guy in our neighborhood couldn't retaliate by getting Lee, so he got the brother whose face you've seen. That's it in a nutshell." On June 24, 2019, Leroy Finizzi was shot and killed in cold blood around 7 p.m. in Harlem on 137th Street on Lenox Avenue. At the time of his death, Leroy was only 29 years young. He was a father, a brother, a son, a friend and a king in the making. Unfortunately, his life was cut short of his comings. The crazy part is he was killed only 2 blocks from where his father Big Lee was killed, as well his uncle Big L was killed. Officers were sent to Funfair Deli on Lenox Avenue just after 7 p.m. for a report of a shooting. When they arrived at the scene, they found 29-year-old Leroy Finizzi of the Bronx suffering from gunshot wounds to the neck and shoulder. Finizzi was taken to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. No arrests have been made at this time. Now why would anybody want to kill Big L's nephew? Well, I done some digging and found out Big L's nephew Leroy Finizzi Jr. was granted all rights to Big L's estate. To all the fans, friends, supporters and contributors of the Big L legacy, we can now confirm that a movie based on the life and death of the Harlem hip-hop legend Lamont Big L Coleman is in the works, titled Put It On. After the rap legend's passing in 1999 along with his brother Big Lee's passing as well in 2002, his estate landed in the hands of his mother Gilda Pinky Terry. Unfortunately, she also passed away in 2008, so the estate was passed down to that last survivor of the family, Big L's oldest brother Donald Finizzi. After years of disputes over unreleased projects, rights and ownership of past projects and other material surrounding the work catalog of Big L, the estate was eventually signed over to the son of Big Lee Sr., Leroy Finizzi Jr. Leroy Finizzi Jr. is the current estate holder of Lamont. Big L Coleman has a lot of future plans to keep his family's legacy alive. The first project is a highly anticipated film titled Put It On, based on the life and death of Big L. Leroy partnered with Skrilla Gorillas magazine CEO Jesse Swindell, better known as Days, to bring his uncle Big L's story to the big screen. Thank you for joining me today. Please don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe for more hard-hitting stories from the real streets of crime. Thank you.